Hello, friends. It's Chops, and welcome to another Chops vlog. We are like 3/4 of the way done questing with Pandaria. Over this past week, I knocked out Valley of the Four Winds, knocked out Kunlai Summit, finished off Jade Forest, and we are into Krasarang Wilds. Krasarang Wild? Whatever. And this is the last zone that free-to-plays can finish or even really get started in. So it'll be the end of the end of questing through this expansion. It's I'll do a whole look back on my thoughts for Miss of Pandaria next week, I think, because I just. I want to look at it comprehensively in terms of questing, but I should probably be more or less done with the bulk of the expansion by the time I record this next week, or record the Chopsvlog for next week. Yeah, that's what I meant. You know what I meant. But I'm not going to be anywhere really near done with Pandaria at that time. And what I mean by that is I'm going to be mostly done with the questing, and I'll have the exploring knocked out. I'm done with engineering. I learned all the engineering recipes that I can learn. There's one I can't learn because I'm not a goblin engineer that I'm going to eventually go back and get. But I haven't even started cooking yet. And cooking is pretty involved. And then I'm going to level fishing to 75, but then there's Tiller's rep to worry about. And that's going to be a whole thing for fishing, I'm sure. So sort of the ancillary stuff around Miss of Pandaria, I haven't even really started looking at yet. And because this one went by so quick, I'll probably just spend some time before I move into Warlords, catching up on some of that stuff, because I've really enjoyed Mist of Pandaria so far, and I'm not in a real big hurry to leave it immediately. I'll probably still move on to Warlords fairly soon, but I want to spend some time in here, and I'll talk about why next week. But as you can gather, probably because I rather enjoyed it in Mist of Pandaria. But that's it. That's sort of to catch up where I'm at on in terms of questing. What I did want to talk about a little bit actually is this is going to release Monday. The next day, the 19th, Blizzard is announcing the next expansion. And as with all expansion announcements, we're probably not going to get a whole lot of information on how it's going to impact free-to-plays. Or level 20s or stuff like that. But I had somebody ask me sort of if I had any hopes for the next expansion, or sort of what I thought was going to happen. And I hadn't really put any thought into it. I don't like speculating. I don't like getting worked up, trying to figure out what's coming, or pouring through leaks, or being real invested in and trying to figure out a particular, oh my God, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? What's it going to be before it ever actually gets announced? That kind of thing is always kind of weirded me out. Same with movies, trying to figure out what the plot of a movie is, or, figure out what the spoilers are for various, things like that. Because no matter what I do, it's not like I'm in control of it. No matter what I do, no matter what I figure out or what I speculate on, it's not going to change. It's not going to change what it is, and it's not going to give me any sort of advanced advantage or anything to worry about it. So I just don't. I've never really worried about trying to figure it out, but I did have people ask me what I thought it was going to be, or what I thought like it would affect free to plays. And so I figure what I'll do is I'm going to talk about that for a little bit. I'm gonna hit the pause on the recording button here and get this quest knocked out real quick and kind of get myself sorted in crass arraying as far as like where I'm going to be questing and stuff and get my bearings. And then I'm going to chat a little bit about kind of like, I guess what I think is coming up for free to play, and importantly, what I think myself and you, if you're playing free to play, might need to do to prepare in the future. And then because the algorithm demands it, probably sometime Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll go over what actually got talked about and see like how I guess actually what I should do is not try to talk about what to do to prepare, but like we'll talk a little bit today about what I think like might be coming and sort of like what I hope that means for the future of free to play. And then maybe Tuesday or Wednesday have a video about like looking over what they told us, if we can glean any information about free to plays from that. And if so, what you might need to do to prepare. Yeah, I hate to be like, oh, you should do this to prepare, and then like 24 hours later they come out and say something that completely obviates that. So yeah, we'll do a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about sort of, I guess, hopes and dreams today, and probably in a couple days cut a video about like what that means going forward, if there is indeed anything that we need to know. But give me a second to get my bearings, and we'll get chatting. Yeah. Okay, so I kind of have an idea of what I'm doing now. I like knowing the story, and it's hard for me to read and talk at the same time. Shocking. But yeah, so anyways, there's a lot of speculation around like, ooh, what's the theme of the next one? And apparently, I guess it's dragons or something. I don't know. And then like there's always leaks, and guys, you got to stop reading the leaks on these expansion things, because every expansion leak, it's going to be about dragons. Okay. It's going to have player housing. They're going to release the Tinkerer class is always a big part, is always a big one. Stuff like that. Has been in every leak since vanilla, man. Like, y'all got to stop falling for that shit. But what is this one going to be about? I guess this one is actually going to be about dragons, but it doesn't matter because whatever the next expansion is about, what we know, think about free to plays, I guess, currently as being about an expansion behind, because that's kind of what it is, right? So our next expansion is Shadowlands. And we kind of know what that is, right? Like that's, it's awful. It's a terrible expansion. Everything about Shadowlands is miserable. I played through it. I leveled 2 or 3 characters to 60 just to have, like farming alts and stuff. And it is, man, it is, God, it's awful. It's so bad. I hate it so much. You just go out. Anyways, what I think is going to happen, and sort of, I guess, what I hope happens. Well, I guess really what I hope happens is that Shadowlands in its entirety remains unavailable to free to plays or 20s. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have to do any bit of it. And I don't think that it's in any way beneficial to free to plays to go into it. It's not like we're missing anything. I don't want to have to deal with covenants. I don't want to have to like worry about questing through the absolutely miserable Maw experience and or worry about questing through any of those miserable zones. They're all awful. I mean, like they look like, some of them look cool, I guess, but like the questing experience is just absolute trash. Then you got to choose your Hogwarts house, or I'm sorry, your Covenant. It sucks, man. I don't want to do it. My biggest fear is that it's not going to be intended that free to play get into Shadowlands, but some aspiring exploiter is going to figure out that yes, we can get into it, and we're going to, you're going to need to pick a covenant, and you're going to have to do some like shady things to get this covenant. But if you don't do it, you're not going to be able to compete. So it's going to be more or less necessary that you do some, yet again, ooh, hey, look, an epic. Yet again, it's going to be more or less necessary to engage in some behavior that may or may not violate the end user license agreement in order to play the game competitively at 20. And that would be awful. Either they need to have covenants be intended for 20s, or it needs to be completely impossible to get it. Or like I worry that like it'll be possible to get it for like the first day or two. And if you're not there to play on release, like you're not going to be able to get it because they'll fix it. Like, ooh, like kind of like all the broken gear that came out around Shadowlands Squish. Like that's going to suck. I don't want to have to deal with that. So honestly, I hope the entirety of Shadowlands is just locked off to us, or it's entirely open to us, right? Like all these things are like, we're kind of locked in these like gray areas of, I won't say legality because it's not like against the law to violate Blizzard's end user license agreement, but sort of in the gray areas of game mechanics. I just don't, man, I'm exhausted of it. I'm so tired. That's all Shadowlands has been trying to keep up with all these various things. And it's felt like people have sort of like maliciously been trying to break the game like on purpose because, hey, why not? That kind of thing. But anyway, so that's kind of like what I, sort of where I'm at mentally about it. But what I think the most likely scenario, and I think the most likely scenario for us is that either Shadowlands is completely off limits to us. It's just the entire expansion is level 40 plus or something, right? And they're just like, yeah, we're not expanding the content that free accounts get. It's just, it's you don't get any more than what you already have, which fine. That to me, that's ideal. That's what I want to have happen. Or I think the other likely scenario is that they open up the maw, and they open up like one of the zones or something, or it's just the maw, like you just get the maw, and that's it. So I think one of those, like that's likely, or like the maw and one of the zones. Maybe, like that's all that free to play have access to. Kind of like BFA is just like the intro quests, and then it was just like the intro quests in Tiergard Sound, and then they opened up Drustvar for some reason, but after that, we don't get any of the rest of them. I think that's possible. Something like that would be fine. I really don't want to have to deal with covenants and renown and stuff, so I hope that doesn't come around. But all of those kind of in-game features in Legion and in BFA have been gated behind levels, so I am going to assume we won't get any of that for free-to-plays. I think that won't be, if we get access to anything in Shadowlands, it's probably just going to be the Maw and maybe like whatever the first zone you go into is, the real shiny one that's white. Anyways, it sucks. I don't want to have to do it, but God, we're going to have to. In terms of any further like squishing or anything, nah, I don't think we're going to see any more level squishes. I don't think we're going to see any more sort of adjustments to, I don't think we're going to see any more adjustments to like item levels or required levels or anything like that for anything. I think that like the world largely as we understand it for free to plays currently is going to remain unchanged. Um, I think that is, I think that's more or less a given. We're not going to see any further squishing or anything like that. Um, yeah, it's holy crap. My phone is blowing up. Let me pause. I don't really know how Shadowlands rares work, if they're one and done or if they're a daily loot drop, but I think that there's a possibility for some more potential upgrades on some things, like you know, maybe some socket procs or something. But uh, I don't think what is best in slot is I don't think predominantly what we think of as best in slot is going to change. That was weird. I think it's still going to be. I think it's still going to be primarily TBC gear, and then and then eye level 28s. That is a thing. I think there is a high likelihood that that Shadowlands gives us another zone with a level 25 floor. So it could be, do Shadowlands greens proc sockets? I guess maybe. If they do, there's another potential for free to plays to farm eye level 28s again. I think I think there's actually a pretty high possibility that happens, which would be good because it kind of sucks that they're grandfathered for free to plays right now. Well, technically, you can engage in some fairly shady behavior again if you want to farm some eye level 28s in extremely slow and inefficient ways, but I'm not going to explain how to do that. The information is out there. But for more or less, they are grandfathered for free to plays. It would be cool to see that legitimately opened back up though in Shadowlands. I think that would be one of the good things to happen if we gain access to Shadowlands, but don't get access to the whole thing. A good thing to happen would be the high probability of that. That would be excellent. I hadn't considered that before, but that's good. I think there's a possibility if we do get Shadowlands that we get the Maw and one dungeon maybe. So maybe some of the dungeon trinkets, do Shadowlands have good trinkets? Maybe some of the trinkets become good, best in slot. But again, I don't think that the basics of what's BIS right now changes. I think it's predominantly TBC and some Wrath socket gear with eye level 28 world drops. That does bring up, I think there might be that whole like eye level 28 discussion. I think that there's a possibility, and Donor's the one that kind of pointed this out to me. I think there's a possibility that eye level 28s go away entirely. We've been saying it's a display bug that they display as requires level 24 in the armory, but no, I think they're actually supposed to require level 24. And I think the bug is that they require level 19 right now. So there is a possibility that gets adjusted and fixed in the next expansion, and eye level 28s on level 20s either become unusable or are wholly and entirely grandfathered. Which could be a possibility too. I think that is that's a big one. Yeah, holy cow. I hadn't really considered that, but now that occurs to me, like that could be. What do I think will happen there? What's my prediction? My prediction is that they go red. That the items that you currently have that are eye level 28, if they decide to fix them, will not be grandfathered. They will become unusable. So that might be something you want to think ahead on and look at having backup gear for. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Enchants, I don't think. Well, we might get, because we have access to full BFA professions currently, we might get access to full Shadowlands professions, which means we should probably look into Shadowlands enchants, Shadowlands engineering, something like that. That might be an area that an enterprising young twink would look into, and see about like, oh, hey, what is some of this gear that can be made with various professions? What enchants can we get a hold of? What's going to look valuable? That might be a place for somebody that cared about this kind of stuff to look into, which means I'm going to go look into it, of course. That's probably the most reliable prediction, quote unquote, is that we're going to get the, man, that's 2 upgrades back to back almost. Is that we're going to get the professions. Yeah, man, that'd be pretty cool. I think that's it. I think that's all. I kind of want to like wildly speculate on. Again, I'm not like wildly speculating too much on any of that. What am I supposed to do here? Oh, I think I'm supposed to put a mask on them. Oh yeah. Okay. That works. Yeah, man, I think that's it. I think like best case scenario is that we just don't get access to any of it because I don't want to have to do it. I hated Shadowlands and it's awful. Most likely scenario is that we get like the Maw and Bastion. That's it. Bastion, right? We get like the Maw and Bastion. And then we don't have to deal with any of the end game stuff, at least. And that it is wholly and truly locked down. Like I really don't want to have like some gray area exploit where 20s can actually get covenants, and then like you have to like try to get them, and it involves a serious gray area, and then like if you didn't get it, it gets grandfathered and some people have it, and that would be a nightmare scenario. That's the nightmare scenario. But yeah, like I said, I think wildly unlikely that we get access to the whole zone and covenants. Most likely that we get access to the Maw and Bastion, or like, I guess one of the zones. I don't know why Bastion would be more likely. And then like hyper unlikely, but nightmare scenario is that we have some gray area exploit that puts us capable of getting the covenants when we're not supposed to. And that's all I've got for the expansion. Like I said, this is all just wild speculation, and I generally don't think it's worth a whole lot other than kind of a little bit of like fun theory crafting for a moment. But like I said, once they announce what's coming out, I'll cut a video Tuesday or Wednesday talking about what we can we know anything, and what we should look for in the next expansion once we know more. So I'm gonna throw it to a time lapse. I don't know if I'll actually like record and post any of this because this video is already run pretty long of me rambling. But if we need to like, if it doesn't seem like it'd be too long to put some questing up, we'll have that up for you guys. But as always, thanks for hanging out, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.